hopefully be a quick video about my experience as a trainee for Skywest Airlines. I just want to say before I get started that this is all alleged information for legal purposes. Assume that I'm lying, and this is just my opinion. It's crazy because I've seen a lot of these videos about like what it's really like to be a trainee at Skywest, but I don't see anybody talking about the things that I feel like matter. There is a very long list of things that you have to do before you can even be a trainee at Skywest. They don't give you an adequate amount of time to get those things done if you don't already have the said list of things. You obviously have to have a passport. You have to have a watch. You have to have slacks, a blazer in specific colors. The colors really only range from like white to black. Some things you can't have in white. I think everything you can have in black. You have to have a certain type of shoe, hair done a certain way. You have to have what they feel is a good complexion also. The first day you just go to your hotel. There's no actual training. You just check in and they let you know what time to be in the lobby so that you can go to training the next day. One thing they don't tell you is like, and I would assume that some people make this assumption, but you have to pay for food. Like all your food, you're gonna be there for like 6 weeks and you have to have enough money to pay for all that food. So even if you just spent all your money on getting the checklist of things that you need to get there, you're gonna have to come out of pocket. I think they give you lunch like the first and second day, but that's it. The rest of the weeks are up to you. And I mean, I was good, luckily, but the thing was, you're obviously in a new city, state for most people, because most people don't live there. And you have to get around and go grocery shopping. So that usually means either taking the train to the nearest grocery store or taking a Lyft or an Uber or whatever, which you will also come out of pocket for. It was annoying to me because it's not like it's just, you would think that that's something that they would put in the mountain of paperwork that you have to read before you go to training, but they don't even mention it. I personally think that it would make a lot of sense to, in the training handbook, to tell people to bring a certain amount of money, like a certain budget for food, because just not putting anything about it at all is kind of weird, I feel. But moving along, I'll try to think of everything that I can. It's been a month since I was there, so yeah. You go to the first day of training, you get introduced to the people that are gonna be your like primary teachers. Not all of them, but whoever is gonna be working with you that day, and they'll kind of tell you who's gonna be, you know, your teachers for the next few days, whatever. One thing that made me really uncomfortable was just the amount of times that the trainers tell you that you don't have job security. For example, they'll be like, and if you don't have this, you're gonna get sent home. If you don't show up at this time, if you're a second late, you're gonna get sent home. Like almost every 5 minutes or less, they are telling you, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, you're gonna get sent home. Like they want it in your head that no matter how long you work there, you have zero job security. And to me, I understand given the rules and everything like that, but why do you have to be so rude about it? I remember one of the trainees was like, and you'll be on that plane faster than you got here, or something like that. Like, is it necessary to be talking like that? You'll get, in the handbook, you'll get the dress code of the things you need to bring. However, an issue that me and the other people in training had was that we genuinely felt, and even went back and looked at our training handbook, and the information wasn't adding up. For example, my training handbook said that it was mandatory for you to have a personal thermometer, right? So as I'm going to get my long list of things, I got a personal thermometer from Walmart for like 20 bucks. And come to find out, when I get there, it was optional. Mind you, on my handbook, it says that it is not optional, that you will get sent home if you don't have it. I looked at one of the guys' handbooks while we were there, and his definitely said that it was optional. So a few of us were talking and realized that there wasn't the same thing, like everything wasn't aligning on everyone's handbook. And this is important because you have to have, like I said, you have to have a list of things as far as the things that you can and can't wear. I had a watch, right? I brought a pink watch because in my handbook, it just says to bring a watch. It doesn't say what color the watch has to be. It just says a watch, and it can't be a smartwatch, and that it has to have the seconds on it, right? That's what I got from it. I went and got the watch with all those things in mind. I didn't see anything on there about the color. And when I was going to get checked, they do this thing on like the second or third day where you get, you go into a room with a woman and she checks off everything that you're wearing to see if it's in compliance or not, right? So everything else that I had was in compliance, according to her. You go in this room and there's a woman sitting down who's gonna check everything that you're wearing. But another woman came by and she kind of looked at me and a few other people, and the woman who's doing the checks told her to measure me and two other people's watch, like the band, right? So the band can only be an inch long. Please do not ask me why or why that makes sense, because they literally don't tell you. They just give you these rules. They don't tell you why, if it's a safety hazard or anything like that. It kind of just seems like it's just things that they want to enforce for literally no reason. So the woman comes by, right? She checks my band, she checks the other two people's band. I ask her, is it okay that it's pink? And I only asked her this because I was like the last person in line for the compliance check, and I was hearing a lot of people say only a certain list of colors for things that I didn't see on the handbook, right? And that obviously a lot of other people didn't see on the handbook. The lady proceeds to tell me that I have to ask the woman who's sitting down doing the compliance check. She's like, when it's your turn, just ask her, whatever. So I'm like, okay, that's what I'll do. So, okay, wait. The other thing that they'll do while they're doing this compliance check, I guess you're supposed to go one by one, but the woman thought it'd be easier. She just did a few of the things with multiple people in the room and then send us back out and then have us come in one by one, right? So the things that she did when we were all in the room was have you take out your passport, show it, and then shine your flashlight on the passport. You also have to have a flashlight. You'll get sent home if you don't have one, right? So we did that. She just, I guess, did a general like look at the way we were dressed, whatever. So then she sends us back out and we have to come back in. I'm literally last. So I go in for my compliance check. In my mind, I'm like, okay, I think I have everything, all I need to know is if this watch is an okay color or not. So this is what happens. She looks at me, she looks at my complexion, she's like, it's good. She looks at you can't have a certain amount of ear piercings, that's good. She looks at my everything that I'm wearing. You have to have like pantyhose on. If you're a woman, they can only be like a nude color, I think. She said that was in compliance. She looks at my shoes. Now, mind you, I had on a very small little kitten heel, which I'm not a fan of. I did have a pair of flats, but I'll get into why I didn't bring those that day, because that's a whole other thing. But looking at my shoe and she's trying to measure the heel. She tells me, can you take off your shoe? And I'm like, sure. I give her the shoe. Mind you, the heel, I could bring it, but it's all the way upstairs. So the heel is literally like this big, right? I'm not even exaggerating. The heel is like this big. So the heel can't be over 3 inches tall. She goes to measure the heel and she's taking the measuring tape and she's starting at the top of the shoe to the bottom of the heel. Now, I'm not a genius or anything, but if you're measuring the heel, you should start at the top of the heel down, correct? So she goes, you know what? Let me get a second opinion on this. Leaves out the room with my shoe and comes back and she's like, oh, it's all fine. They said it's good. Like in my mind, I'm like, obviously, if you came back and told me that it wasn't good, I would think that there was something mentally wrong with you. But I'm like, okay, cool. So she looks at my watch and she's like, oh, did she measure the band of your watch? And I'm like, she did. So she asked me, what did she say about it? Mind you, after the lady measured it, she didn't really say anything. She was just kind of like making these weird noises, like, I mean, And I'm like, okay, like, what is that? I was just like, is it good? And she just didn't really say much. So when she asked me what she said for the measurement of the band, I just said, well, she kind of didn't really say anything at all, to be honest. And so she texts the woman and she's like, oh, I'll just ask her. So she texts her, but then she realizes that she has the measuring tape. So she's like, you know what? I'll just measure it myself since you're right here. She measures it and she realizes that it's, I think, exactly 1 inch. So she's like, oh, you're good. Let me text her never mind. As she's texting her never mind, the woman texts her back and says, she can't have a pink watch. The pink watch is not okay, something like that. So she goes, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't have the pink watch and da-da. Mind you, if this is something that you guys do religiously here, why didn't you, the person who's literally doing the compliance check, why didn't you already know that I couldn't have a pink watch? Why did it take for someone else to have to text you and tell you that? And also, why couldn't the woman just tell me that when I asked her the first time? That was really annoying to me because I just felt like they were playing a lot of games. They didn't want to tell people just straight away, oh no, that's not in compliance. There was a woman there who had a blazer on. And now mind you, the blazer, it had like the traditional little like long collar here on the blazer. It was a blazer, you know, it had like a tie at the bottom, and she was a little worried when we were in line for the compliance check, like, well, I don't know if this is cool, but it also doesn't come out. Like she was saying how she tried to take the string out, but it doesn't come off. So she was like, I don't know, I'm just a little worried. But in her mind, she's like, well, it's cool though, because if I can't wear it, I'll just take it off. Everything else was in compliance. You know, she had a color white t-shirt and everything else. When she went in to do her compliance check, the woman told her that it's athletic wear. I wish you guys could have seen the blazer, because that is not something that anybody in their right mind would work out in. And she was also confused, like, well, can't I just take it off because I'm still in compliance with everything else? And the lady says, I really wish I could, but I just can't. Like, to me, that's just like, you're really not trying to help your trainees at all. That's so wild to me. Like, that's so wild. Okay, so doubling back to the flats. And if you're going to Skywest and you're going to training, or you're already at training and you haven't been to this point in your training, this is very, very important. One of the students in training had on these flats, and they were not suede, but they were like a suede like material, right? For some odd reason, this is a non-negotiable for them. You cannot have suede, and you can't have just certain type of fabrics, I guess, right? We were in class and they were going over this because the compliance check was the next day. So she raises her hand and she asked, oh, well, these aren't suede, but they kind of resemble suede, I think. So are these going to be okay to wear? Just let me know, because I'll just go to Target and get other shoes, right? Because Target was one of the closest things. The two trainers that were in front of the class told her to come down to the front so they can look at the shoes and determine whether they were okay to wear or not, right? She walks down there, they touch the shoe, they're like rubbing on the shoe, they're looking at it, they're examining it, and they're like, you're good, this isn't suede, you can definitely wear these, you're good to go, right? I then am like, okay, well, can I come down there too? Because my flats that I had on that day resembled her flats. Okay, I just wanted to be 100% sure, because I didn't want to get like a strike for something dumb, like something little like that. So I go down there and they touch my shoe as well, and they look and they're like, you're good as well, da-da-da. Something inside me told me to not wear them the next day, just in case, is to wear the heels instead, because I guess I'm just like really good at sensing when someone is unsure, even if they're telling me they're sure about something. So I was like, you know what, let me just wear the heels and just, you know, not even think about it. The next day, that same girl who had the shoes on ends up getting a strike for those same exact shoes that she had on. And it was really sad, because she was really sad and she didn't want that on her record, you know. She didn't, like, I understand, because she went out of her way to try to make sure she was in compliance, just for them to lie straight to her face and then her get in basically trouble for wearing the same shoes, right? To add insult to injury, the very next day when we go back to class, one of the trainers who told her that it was okay to wear it, she apologizes in front of everyone, right? But after she apologizes, in this very condescending tone, she says, but also it's up to you guys to make sure you have the right things. And she makes like 5 different excuses right after apologizing, saying that like the lighting is kind of off in there, saying that this is why you're supposed to double check and read your handbook and things like that. Which to me is just like, you are just deflecting and you want to take zero accountability. There's no point in apologizing just to also then make excuses for yourself. That's just dumb, in my opinion. Like, that makes 0 sense. For her to do that, I don't know. It really just made me realize like the type of people that they had training there. It was just kind of insulting to me. Taking genuine accountability would have been saying, I'm very sorry that I was the one who put you in the position to get the strike. So from now on, I want all of you guys to not ask me or any other trainers, go directly to the office where they will tell you whether that's in compliance or not. Period. There's nothing else to say after that. You see what I'm saying? Some of the people who were training did talk very fast. And there was a specific day, I think it was like my last day, where the trainer kept saying, oh, we're really good on time. We're making really good time. We're going to probably be early, like done early. She was just kind of going through these slides really, really quickly, like unnecessarily quickly. Like she was speed reading, and I'm somebody who reads and writes very quickly. So for me to be saying this, I feel like that says a lot. But she was just like speeding through it, and I'm like, I would raise my hand and be like, hey, could you go back to the last slide? And this trainer specifically, I felt like she had an issue with me. I could not tell you why. I'm not even gonna try to think about why, because I don't care. But she was like, she went back once, and then when I asked, and then she was like, you guys are just gonna have to go on to the next thing and just ask one of your classmates after to help take notes. Now, mind you, if we're in the class and we're taking notes, and we're supposed to be taking notes, and you can't take any pictures of literally anything, which would just help a lot, why wouldn't you just slow down so everybody can at least jot down a few of the notes in the notes, so I have a better understanding when I have to go back to the hotel and redo this all over again? Like, why would you just speed through it? And then on top of that, you're saying we're making great time. So then slow down. Then we'll be on time. The majority of the people who were there had never done this before, and this is something completely new to the majority of the people. So why would you be upset when someone's just trying to learn, right? Talking to people, just blatantly rude. And one thing about me is I don't let anybody talk to me crazy. I don't care what setting we're in, who you are, what authority you believe that you have over me or anybody else. I do not let people talk to me crazy. That is just an integrity thing for me. I have more dignity than that, and I don't care how bad I want something. I will leave like that if you try to play me like I'm stupid or like I'm a child. That's just not ever gonna fly for me. So that was one of the biggest issues I had with the entire thing. I know that some people, when it comes to their dreams or the things that they've always wanted to do in life, they will compromise who they are or what they feel is right just to get to the other side, right? I'm not even shaming anybody for doing that, because your life is your life. I, however, do not believe in doing that at all. So as you know, one of the perks of being a flight attendant is free flights, right? Some people become a flight attendant simply for the traveling, for the free flights. I would argue that most people become a flight attendant for that same reason. Skywest is a regional airline, not a main line. So they work for or with, I believe, 4 other airlines, including United, I believe American Airlines, Alaska, and another one that I can't think of right now. I didn't know what that meant, like literally at all, until I got there. But what it does mean is that really the short answer for what that means is you don't get a lot of perks and you're gonna do a lot more work. Simply put, that's something I definitely wish was in the handbook, because I would not have shown up. I would have just applied for a different airline at that point. And it's a lot more work because you have to learn the curriculum or the rules and regulations of 4 or 5 different airlines, you know, because Skywest included. Aside from that, one of the big issues for me is that, and some of you may know this already, I did not know this, you are on standby when you take a flight as a flight attendant at Skywest, right? Meaning, although your flight is gonna be free for a, you know, standard coach flight, right? That'll be free. If you wanna upgrade, you obviously have to pay. Well, not obviously, but you have to pay. But being on standby means that if you, let's say I book a flight to Hawaii today, right? And I'm a Skywest employee. If I book this flight and I've already paid for my hotel and I have all my itineraries for everything and I know I'm supposed to be here at this time and this, that, and the third, and the flight is full and the one seat that I had gets bought from someone else, I have to then get off of the plane. As a Skywest employee, you have to. And one of the trainers said that they will literally escort you off the plane, which to me is so unnecessarily embarrassing. Like, some people already have this knowledge about standby flights. I did not know this. Like, I did not. If I knew this, I wouldn't have been there. Because how are the perks not even real perks? Yeah, that's wild to me. And then again, if you get on the next flight and that's full and the same thing happens, they will continue to do that to you until you're on a flight where there's enough seats and nobody has bought your ticket, right? That blew my mind. Honestly, that was enough to make me want to go home that day. Another big thing for me was the pay. You really do not get paid very well as a Skywest employee. In my opinion, you don't even make a livable wage. You get paid, and this is not the exact amount, but it's for sure $1,500 something. I want to say ballpark $1,549 a month. Not in 2 weeks, not in a week, in 1 month. I don't know what cities or states you guys live in, but even in a state like Texas, where the rent has been significantly lower than most places that I've lived in, that is not a livable wage. That's just like rent money and then possibly your bills. I don't know how you're gonna get groceries. God forbid you have a car and pay for gas, your insurance, your phone bill. Like, that's just rent. How are you going to pay for all of your other expenses? And you're consistently traveling. I'm sure you have to eat and do all type of other things. Like, so again, the perks just aren't that great overall, you know? I realized after that experience that I probably am not the best person to be a flight attendant, because I just have a little bit too much individuality. But even aside from that, if I was to ever apply to another airline, it would definitely not be a regional. It would for sure be a mainline, because a lot less work, a lot more benefits, right? The camera cut off, and again, if my lips look dry, it's because they are. But double check everything on your handbook though, because the way that these people talk to you when you don't have something that's on the handbook is actually crazy. So just save yourself from those issues. What else? That's all I can really think about. Like I said, once I left there, kind of just dumped all that information in the trash and went on with my life. But I do want to say, if you are going to training, if you're already set up to go, you've already got your long list of things, just take everything with a grain of salt. You know, do what you're supposed to do if you really want this, if you really want to work at Skywest. Try to enjoy yourself as best as you can. And just hope for the best. And if you don't make it, if you get sent home for something stupid or any other reason, just take it as an experience. Just like everything in life, take it as the experience that it is, learn whatever you need to, and just move on with a smile on your face, okay? That's the best thing you can do in life for anything. So thank you for watching this video. I know it was probably all over the place, but that's it. Thank you for watching. And if you're going to Skywest training, good luck.